Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
We're good. Call to order of the regular board meeting for the directors. On the agenda first is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, Tom, celebrating success.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kim Carlson, Director of Marketing, and I'd like to introduce Greg Sellers. Greg is our publisher, and also, could I have you hold some of my props? Thank you. Just right there. There you go. The creative director for Inside Bella Vista Magazine. I know all of you in the room know it really well, but those who may not know that we do an incredible amount internally for designing this magazine. And we have so many property owners who compliment us on the magazine, and that really is Greg's deal. We're very fortunate to have him with his experience here. One of the quotes that I wrote down from one of our property owners is she said, when I get my cup of coffee and I sit down and I read it cover to cover. And I don't think you can ask for much more than that. So Greg definitely deserves the award, and he hates things like this. He does not like to be recognized, so ha, we gotcha. But we thank him a lot because, as you all know, this is just a great thing for us to help promote Bella Vista. So, thank you. You can give it to him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have the approval of the minutes for the past minutes. I have David's proxy, and I will be counting double. March 24th, the director's regular board meeting. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. And 2 for David. Okay, April 21st, the board work session meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for April 21st meeting.
Second.
A second?
Oh, second.
Tia, okay. Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. All right. Well, minutes have been approved. We had an executive session. To give you a summary of it, we had it April 14th on 2022. The board voted 8-0 in favor of extending Mr. Judson's employment agreement. Director Bidwell attended most of the discussion and voiced her support of the extension, although she was absent when the final vote was taken. Okay, the Joint Advisory Committee. Tom?
I have 3 summary reports. Unfortunately, none of the chairs were able to make it. For the Golf Committee, March rounds ended at 10,380, which was down by almost 1,700 rounds, all of it weather-related. Year-to-date rounds end at 18,028, which is down about 2,600, once again weather-related. With regards to capital projects, the collar project at the country club has been completed and growing in. The car path repairs on Highlands, Kingswood, Dogwood have been completed. The Highlands driving range improvements are almost complete. For multiple safety reasons, walking on the golf course is always discouraged. So, walkers and people that are out taking their dogs out and so forth, it's really discouraged because that little white missile, if it hits you in the right spot, can be very hurtful. The APT, WAPT tournament is coming in May, and everybody's getting ready for that. The Bella Vista PGA Junior League is full. Both junior camps for June and July are full, and the next meeting for the golf committee is May 11th at 4 p.m. in the boardroom. For the Lakes Committee, their meeting took place on 4/20. Loch Lomond is to full pool. Lake Ann will be drawn down to do the sinkhole repairs. We just need some cooperation with the rain to get the lake down 2 feet. Due to issues with trout stocking permits from suppliers, trout have not been stocked in Lake Brittany for the last few months. Issues will be resolved late fall stocking in 2020. Jason Adams and Rick Yorman will be rotating off the Lakes Committee. Michael Coughlin and Scott Sporoff have been chosen to fill the 2 spots, and the recommendations are in the board packet for today. The Lakes Committee will be discussing what lakes will be drawn down in the coming winter at their next meeting. Most likely, they will be discussing the possibility of lowering Lake Avalon and Lake Windsor. The next is the Recreation Committee. They met on 4/11. All amenities are in good shape. Branchwood, the walking trail is showing a couple places with washing out and leaving mud and leaves on the trail. Loch Lomond Park, there are 3 green benches under the trees where the paint is peeling and splintering and needs to be fixed. Blowing Springs Recreation Area, very busy. Parking at front and rear of park is often at capacity. The RV laundry room could use some new tables and chairs. Lake Avalon Park, algae at the beach is starting to come in and needs to be mitigated before we open. Metfield Complex and Skills Park, we received member feedback to leave the pools open a little longer on the weekends and an hour longer during the week. Reardon Hall, the hall remains busy with many activities. The new awning has been installed at the tennis courts, and there are a few patches of concrete in the Kingsdale Pavilion that needs to be done. Tanya Creek, volunteers are working on invasive species to remove those. Painting the remaining 2 bridge tops and planting native wildflowers in the prickly pear garden. The AR Master Naturalists have donated the plants. New business, the term expiration is in June. To fill a new chairperson will be needed. Mr. Judson reported that the board election has begun and encourages everybody to vote. Rick Eccles, Loch Lomond refill complete. Due to rain, we have struggled to keep Lake Ann down enough so that we can do the repairs. Ranger contacts are up over last year as we get into this more warmer season. Joan reported about the Easter egg hunt, which went well. The Spring Bazaar, which was also busy, and there was a vaccination clinic. Tiny cabins are on the final stages of completion. Actually, they were completed just the other day. And the campgrounds have been sold out pretty much every single weekend. New much was added to all playgrounds. Tennis mixed doubles was a huge success. Marina now open and boat rentals available. Working on design phase of New Reardon. And that was everything. Encourage everybody to read the minutes.
Question for you, Judson. When you were talking about the rounds, that we've had and the weather being down, is there what's the stat that's the best per day? So if we didn't say 10,000 rounds, there's not as much as we projected, but it may have been good considering the amount of days where we could have been open.
I think you always have to be careful about comparing rounds in the first few months of the year, because the number of rounds you play in the first 3 months are about equal to the number of rounds you play in all of June and July. So if you get unlucky and you have rain on the weekends, or rain at certain times of the year, or snow like we had in the first quarter, it can really have a large impact. Yet once you get to the season when things really pick up, it gets washed out because it's such a small month utilization wise. The first 3 months are.
What's max capacity for all of them if we did our best day?
That's a really debatable issue, simply because so there are some courses in the United States that do a huge number of rounds. But I would say that if we were to do 35,000 rounds per 18-hole golf course, that would be fairly busy for us. But there are some that do a lot more than that. Municipal courses that don't charge a lot, and so forth. But that's just not possible in our area. Okay.
One other thing that I heard about Blowing Springs, but that I didn't see on the list though, was the new picnic tables. Does that help increase the capacity of the gear gardens?
So we're doing
Seating?
two things. We are replacing the old picnic tables. Those picnic tables were 40, 50 years old, and they were rough to sit on. I mean, if you were in shorts, you got scrapes. So we're replacing all of those. You'll also notice that we added that fence, which is along the parking lot, and we're working on expanding our liquor license to go all the way out to that area, because there was a lot of people that were getting their beer and then walking across the little bridge and sitting on the other side. Well, why can't I have a beer here when I can have a beer here?
Tables.
The tables look exactly the same. So we're working on capacity, because I was there last Friday and there was always a line to get your beer. And I contributed to that line. But there was
Research purposes.
just research purposes. But it's proven to be a very big success for us, and so we have to have more places that we can sit, and more places where people will want to sit, because those old benches were really bad.
The financial report.
All right, let's talk about March. So March kind of represents our first quarter of 2022. So we'll talk a little about first quarter as well. But you can see that our financial reports are on the website. If you have any problems finding those, you can let us know. But we post everything out there. So year to date, again, this is first quarter of 2022. Great year so far. Revenue at 9.1 compared to budget of 7.9, and 2021 of 7.5. Again, this is consolidated. 8.2 gross margin compared to a 7.1 budget and a 6.8 last year. And then expenses. Our expenses are down. Again, supply chain issues across the board, kind of taking stuff as we can get it. So our expenses are sitting at 5.4 compared to budget of 6.1 and last year of 4.7. So expenses are up a little bit over last year. We had bigger supply chain issues last year. And then EBITDA, of course, this is the big number, 2.788 this year compared to a budget of 998,000 and last year at 2 million. So again, a really, really, really strong first quarter. So a couple things to call out. Activity cards, you can see 2022 we're at 115,000 compared to 2021 of 114, pretty flat. But if you look at the numbers, we're at 4618 in 2022 compared to 4,000, a little over 4,000 last year. I know that I've had questions on this already, and really a lot of the activity cards and the numbers you're seeing is due to dependents. So a lot more dependent cards that are zero cost is driving that number up. Guest cards were at 1969 compared to 1348, so those are up. Boat registrations, 146,000 compared to 162 last year. So our dollars are down a little bit, but you'll see our quantity is up, and that's being driven by the type of boat. So a lot more kayaks are being purchased this year, which is a lower cost, but it's causing our numbers to go up. And then monetary requirements. So monetary requirements relate to the titles and the deeds and legal. And we're at 1561 this year compared to 1719 last year. And you'll also see us talk about our transfer fees are down too this year. So we're hoping that's timing, and it's just, we'll see that turn around when weather changes and that kind of thing.
Why do we think guest cards are down?
Guest cards, 1969, they were up compared to
read it backwards.
1348.
I read it backwards, sorry.
Okay. I was like, I thought they were up. Yeah. So March financials, so this is just the POA. Revenues compared to budget. Our lot resales, 160,000, better than budget. Assessments are 20,000. Food sales, the restaurants are just doing absolutely amazing. They're up 17,000. BB Bar and Grill 8. BB Bar 17 and Lake Point 8. Dock fees are 9. Our RV park guest fees are 8. RV storage is up by 6. Rec classes are up by 3 at Kingsdale and 3,000 at Tennis. Some of the expenses, so our biggest expense obviously is our salaries, wages, and benefits. We're better than budget by 141. Maintenance and repairs, 51, and then our utilities are worse than budget by 22. Again, we're seeing a lot of fluctuation right now in our expenses, so I think most of that is timing due to the supply chain issues. So you'll hear me say that multiple times. And then you can just see the chart at the bottom. You can just see how much better our revenue is compared to budget and actual. And really budget and prior year, we budget pretty flat, so you'll see those numbers are pretty close to the same, but our revenue is just doing great. And then our expenses, you can see 2022 actual is kind of in the middle. Our 2022 budget is higher, and then of course prior year, again, supply chain is what I would say a lot of that is, and timing. The legal department has just rocked their budget, $197,000 from resale lots year-to-date 2022. January, $80,000, almost $81,000. February, $67,000. March, $79,000. In April, they broke the $100,000 mark. So just a great quarter for legal. So let's talk about water. Water March callouts are having a little bit slower first quarter, but our new service connections are up to budget, or over budget by $57,000. Our capital buy-in fees are over budget by $66,000, and our water sales are down a little bit, really weather driven. Expenses, credit card fees are worse than budget by $4,000. We're actually seeing those creep up a little bit because the interchange fees are going up, which is something we can't control due to inflation and stuff. So we're looking into that a little more. And our cost of goods is over budget by $9,000, which you would expect with the revenue. Here's a total picture of water for March. So you can see the revenue is better than budget by $111,000, and compared to last year, $103,000. Cost of sales is over by $9,000, but better than last year by $3,000. Our gross profit is over by $102,000 and over by last year by $105,000. Salaries and benefits, they're better than their budget by $4,000, but worse than last year by $18,000. And other expenses, they're worse than budget by $56,000 and worse than last year by $53,000. And their total operating expenses were worse than budget by $52,000. Compared to last year, they were worse than their last year number by $71,000. But EBITDA is solid. They're at a $50,000 over budget this year and $33,000 over last year. So having a good quarter. Yes.
Quick question about projecting water usage and thinking about how many new home permits that are listed, or whatever 631 or whatever they were 2021's was, and the 420. Is that go into our projection in the water departments, like, for this? How does that work?
Do you want to go ahead, or I can?
Yeah, we try and factor that in. So there was 580 permits, new building permits issued last year. There's about a 220-day lag from permit to CO, certificate of occupancy. So we try and factor that in. So if you look at the number of homes in our budget for the 22, it's steadily rising as those come online. And we're still seeing additional homes, new home permits being issued in the first quarter of this year. Those ones would come on towards the very end of the year.
Okay. Year-to-date EBITDA variance to budget. Here's some of our big call-outs. Golf Pro Shops, $43,000 better than budget. Food and beverage is sitting at $27,000. IT at $26,000. Member services, $23,000. Lakes and parks, $59,000. Recreation, $67,000. Golf maintenance, $99,000. And legals is $191,000. So Doug should be smiling right now. So,
Question to
great
your
year.
supply chain stuff. Like,
Yeah.
You supply chain issues. It isn't that we're getting too much; we're getting too little. So even with the pro shop being at 43,000, last time I remember Daryl speaking, this number could have been 65,000 if they would have had product or something. What do you think?
This is true. Now, Daryl, from a merchandise point of view, is struggling to get product. The golf ball vendors, the golf club vendors are really curtailing because a lot of that product is produced in China, and they're struggling to get it out. The reason why she's really emphasizing the supply chain issues and the expenses is because we don't want the board to look at our savings on expenses and take those to bank, because what we anticipate in the coming months, we'll see a reversal and this product will start coming in finally, and the board's going to go, well, we're way over on expenses. Well, year to date we're fine, but month to date we're not.
Yeah, because expenses in many ways are losses because we didn't have the thing to sell.
On
You
merchandise,
saved on your expense, but you really lost because you didn't have anything to buy.
correct, but also think of also the expenses when it comes to we can't get supplies in, or maybe we couldn't get fertilizer in on time, or we couldn't get,
Or had to buy something more expensive.
or it just was not available at all. So that's why Stacy is really driving home the supply chain. Don't take it to bank. I mean, we're doing very well this year. I don't want to disregard that in any ways, but some of that is timing and will correct itself. We're only 3 months into a 12-month, entire year. Just don't take that money to bank.
And on the flip side, you look at water, who was over on their expenses. Charlie said that he did a big order for a bunch of water supplies for hookups and new connections because he has to get it when he can get it. So his expenses are high now. You should see those level out too. So it kind of goes both ways.
There's probably the same dynamic, Tom, in regards to wages and things like that, where we seem to be doing better than budget, but we're probably still doing a little bit of struggling in staffing the way we would like. So hopefully that'll get better, but that would obviously change what this looks like in the future.
We are still struggling. We are still struggling. Everybody, all businesses are struggling.
Right.
We are struggling to fill positions. We're working hard at it constantly, but we're struggling.
Stacy, I have a question. If you add all 8 of those up, they come up to a little over 500,000, and you show the total variance is 1.8.
Yeah, I don't have all the bubbles on there. You wouldn't be able to see it. I picked the big ones and put them on there. Accounting's not on there. Some of the others are not on there they're over budget, but they're not over budget by this amount.
So all the others add up to 1.3?
Yeah, and you can see that in the numbers in the financial packet that we sent out to you earlier. I just highlighted some of the bigger ones. So Q1 revenue comparison, if you look at the POA, just at revenue, and I could have done EBITDA, but it's fluctuating so much I didn't really want to focus on EBITDA. But if you look at revenue for Q1, the POA has achieved 30% of its annual budget. So you would think 25% of the way in, we should be at 25% of our revenue. We're at 30%, so we're just a little bit over where we should be for Q1. So again, having a great year. But we're 126% over Q1 last year. So just a great year. Water is at 24%, so they're a little bit behind. You'd expect them to be about 25, but again, weather's played into that, and they don't have any concerns that they'll catch up here this year. 25% of the way there, how are we doing? So on the good side, the POA EBITDA is at $1.8 million over budget through March, including $900,000 of that from the cell tower. Golf clubhouses are $13,000 under budget in expenses. Pro shops are strong at $13,000 over budget. Recreation revenue at $43,000 over budget from the campground and class fees. The tiny cabins are almost finished, so that's a big win for us. And we've closed 3 capital projects from 2021 and 7 from 2022 so far this year. So the team's been working hard. Areas we're going to work on. So the spring rain and floodings have lowered the revenue for golf and water for quarter one. Cost of goods are higher than budgeted, but they are consistent with what you'd expect them to be from a revenue standpoint. The membership transfer fees are down compared to budget, but it's likely, we're hoping, a lag in the housing sales just during winter. Higher expenses in fuel and utilities, and we only 9 open capital projects from 2021 are remaining, so we still have 9 that we have to get closed from last year. So kind of a capital overview, just to give you guys an idea of kind of where some of the big capital projects are. Tiny cabins are expected to close in April of 2022. North Star Software, it's delayed till November of 2022. The pickleball courts, fencing needs to be installed. The pizza kitchen is set to open in May of 22. The Gear Garden upgrades should be completed in May of 22. The golf course repairs on Lake Ann is weather dependent, but they're moving forward. The water line replacement's on track to finish the end of summer, and the Reardon Hall and membership buildings are on track as well. So, moving forward. Intercompany loan. So $175,000 has been paid year to date. We paid another $100,000 this month, getting close. Our remaining commitment for this year is $105,000. So my plan is to have all of that done before we move into the expenses of Reardon Hall and membership. Our investments are sitting at $6.3 million. And our cash. So POA cash, we're sitting at $5.6 million. Our POA reserve is at $411,000. Our water is at 3.2, and the bond reserve is at 1.5. Again, the bond reserve will go to 0 when they make that final payment in May, so it's sitting in our bond account right now. So in total, it's almost $10.8 million that we're sitting with right now. And then this is just the one pager that kind of highlights. You can see more of them on there, Jan, as well, the different departments. Better than budget for EBITDA. And you can see the water department, the POA at the bottom. I think we've talked about almost all of this. And then the gross profit of 1.1, expenses of 697. Our loan is sitting at 2.356, and then ending cash. So, questions? It's a great quarter. It's been a great year.
Okay, open forum. Property owner comments. Do we have any property? No, there's none out outside? Okay. Okay, update, board's management response to any of the past one you did earlier? Okay, non-conforming lots report.
So this is a short one, but this is a really nice story of success, and it's starring our legal team and our accounting team. There's actually a report in your packet on page 52, but if you want to look at this, so let's talk about what a non-performing lot is. Those are lots that are delinquent. Also, those are lots that are owned by the POA because we're not going to pay assessments to ourselves. So you'll see that we are almost at 18% in 2016, and after 21, when we went to 7.9, I thought that was about as good as we could get. The industry standard is about 20%. Last year, I remember looking at the financials for Hot Springs Village, and they were at 34%. So I thought, 8%, we were just really, really doing well. And the team outdid themselves again and lowered it to 5.7% for 2022. We measure this each April 1st, because that's on March 31st is when we make the cut for the election as to who's in good standing and who can vote. So it's a good, once a year, just a good cut to look at it, because during the month, that number goes up and down. During the year, that number will go up and down. So we've just picked April 1st as our benchmark. And the team has just done really, really well. And here's by the numbers. So in 2016, we had 6,038 delinquent accounts. and 702 lots were owned by the POA. And in 2022, we have 2,189 delinquent accounts and 25 lots owned by the POA. And pretty much all those lots have some sort of issue to them where we can't sell them. So we're not holding back. We've talked about, well, why don't we sell them in the auction? Well, we can't sell damaged goods. That would be wrong. There's some sort of issue with it. And so that means that 4,526 additional lots are paying on their assessments this year compared to 2016, which is outstanding. A total number of lots in our community is 39,000.
Tom, to the total number of lots, and I guess the original plotted lots, and I guess anytime we provide water, they can become a part of the village.
Well,
Tell us how that
so-
works,
so-
or do you just have to be a developer? Like the new Cooper development is what I'm hinting at.
So think of when they developed the country club villas here. So that went from a single lot that Cooper owned, and then they developed, I don't know how many homes, 20, 30 homes. So that grows. So if you were to go back to 2016, it's probably would have been 38,900, 39,000, something of that nature. As Cooper develops more, they're doing some development of 20 here and 30 here and so forth on the west side. You'll see that number creep up.
How are condos and townhomes accounted for with lots and all that?
So each door is a lot. Front door. And that was it.
I think it's confusing for members to hear there's 4,500 more homes paying assessments, but hey, we're asking for an assessment increase. But I think it's really important to stop and realize that's from 2016 through all those years where we didn't get to do anything capital. We didn't get to do anything to help our buildings, or fire happened. It's just been such a tumultuous years that our expenses, we didn't get to do everything we wanted to do. The reason we're having such a great year now is because we do have those assessments paying. But it doesn't mean we're never gonna need another one. It doesn't mean that labor hasn't gone up. It doesn't mean that expensive hasn't gone up. But it's hard to hear at the same time.
Correct.
So maybe take that into consideration, and when we're talking about the assessment going forward, that can be hard to understand.
Absolutely. It is different, but we're like no other business. We're growing. We're busier than we ever have, but you talk about labor, that's gone up. All of our supplies, everything that we purchase has gone up just like everybody else. So.
Don't want to go backwards.
No, we don't want to go backwards. No. Okay, update on North Star conversion. So North Star, we mentioned this, I think last week, but North Star is almost ready to go. We would probably be ready in about 1 or 2 months, but that would put the conversion right in the middle of season. And that's just a formula for disaster. We are so busy during the summertime with golf rounds and people coming into the fitness facilities and boats and everything else that we do. So we've decided to move that to November. November 1st will be the conversion date. We've talked about that's it. No more delays. We got to make it happen. It'll be perfect timing because we'll be going into the winter time. Now, we are not paying this entire year for North Star. That was part of the contractual negotiations. So this delay is not costing us money. It is something we need to get done. I think I've phrased it. We want to do it right. We don't necessarily want to do it right now. We want to, the emphasis is we got to get this done right. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it brings us to the budget calendar for 2023.
Jerry, your mic. Okay, that brings us to the budget calendar for 2023. you want to explain anything on that? So there is a vote coming up on
Yeah,
it.
so on page 53 of your board packet, you'll see that we have the budget calendar, which we do every year, and we ask the board to vote on it. You'll notice that we've adjusted it just a little bit to compensate what we didn't want to have happen. If you look at the third date to the bottom, 10/19, in a normal year, that would take place, that presentation to the board would take place on November 3rd, which is 2 days after the North Star conversion, which would not be a good idea. So we moved that date up by a few weeks, and just to make sure, and because of that move up, we're kind of moved the entire front end of the calendar up. So normally, if you look at the very first date, which is 5/20, which is when we talk to the committees, normally that would take place on 6/1, but we've moved everything up. The added benefit of this is there's now going to be a 3-week period between the presentation to the board and the presentation to the community. So if any board members have any issues or anything like that, instead of 1 week to bring those issues to everybody's attention, they now have 3 weeks to bring those issues to everybody's attention. So it gives us a little bit extra time, and definitely gives us some additional breathing room with regards to the North Star implementation. So we would ask that if this is acceptable to the board, we would like a motion.
Okay, who would like to make a motion to,
I make a motion approving the budget calendar for 2023.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify an aye or raising your hand. Unanimous.
Do you want me to just keep on going, Jerry?
Yeah.
Next on your packet is page 55. On page 55 of your budget packet is a board packet is Lakes Committee recommendation. We have 2 members that are coming off the board, off the Lakes Committee board, and the recommendation is the replacement of Scott Sporoff and Michael Coughlin. Full disclosure, Scott lives down the way from me. Good guy. So if the board is amenable, we would recommend you do 2 motions.
All right, we'll start with Scott
Sporoff.
Sporoff. Okay, to have a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion approving the nomination of Scott Sporoff to serve on the Lakes Committee.
And second?
I'll
Okay,
second.
again. Okay, all those in favor say aye, signify by raising your right hand, or either way. Okay, and Michael Coughlin. Any motion for Michael Coughlin to be on the board?
Sure. I make a motion approving the nomination. It's actually Michael Coughlin to serve on the Lakes Committee.
Lake Committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay.
Next, we have on page 56 of your board packet, the annual audit. I'm very pleased to announce it is a clean audit, another outstanding job by our accounting department. On page 57 of your board packet, you'll see the minutes for the audit committee. They voted unanimously to recommend approval of the annual audit. But once again, I'm very pleased with how accounting did. Another audit that is clean with no adjustments to it. You know, $32 million budget or $32 million a year and no adjustments of any material level is outstanding performance. So, any questions?
All right,
The audit, like I say, the audit committee met on April 20th. We need a motion to approve the audit, annual audit.
I make a motion approving the 2021 annual audit as recommended by the audit committee.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye or raising your hand. All right, it's passed. And what is the next one? That's it, isn't it?
Just the announcements.
Okay. All right, we have some announcements. The Recreational JAC meeting will be Monday, May 9th at 4 p.m. here in the Country Club and via live stream. Lakes JAC meeting will be Wednesday, May 11th at 2 p.m. in the boardroom and live stream. The Golf JAC meetings will be Wednesday, May 11th at 4 p.m. in the boardroom. The Board of Directors GM meeting will be Thursday, May 12th at 2:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. It is a closed meeting. The annual meeting and election results will be Tuesday, May 17th at 6 p.m. at Reardon Hall and via live stream. Board of Directors work session will be Thursday, May 19th at 9 a.m. in the boardroom here at the Country Club. The elections of officers and board committee assignments will be Thursday, May 26th at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. Board of Directors regular session will be Thursday, May 26th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. New board members orientation will be Friday, May 27th at 9 a.m. here. It is a closed meeting. And a board tour of amenities will be here Friday, June 13th at 9 a.m. in the lobby of the Country Club.
Jerry, that's June 3rd.
June 3rd? Oh, did I? Okay. Thank you, June 3rd at 9 a.m. Thank you, Jan. Okay, is there anything else? Okay, I say we adjourn. Thank you.